It's all been a big mistake. Right from the start. Not only should we not have been here in Jerusalem, I shouldn't have been part of this outfit at all. Never trust a careers master. Well, I'm going back more than 20 years now, mind you, but I'm not going to apologise for that. One man, one silly old man, was responsible for my entire life taking a wrong turn. School, right? I'll come in one day from football. That's where you have to kick a small Frenchman into a net. And there he is, old, tedious, pompous, wine stains all down his toga, inviting me into his study. Well, that usually means he wants to conjugate in front of me and I want to decline. But not today. We need a bit of a chat about your future. Fine, I said. And that is where everything went wrong. I knew what I wanted to do. Well, mostly nothing. But there was a part of me, well, still is really, that wanted to sort of sit and work things out, find new perspectives, understand. I told him I want to be a philosopher, you know, to be another Cicero perhaps, another Seneca, but a Centurion. Well, that was the only bit old Tedious latched onto, wasn't it? And that's what he wrote down on the form, a Centurion. Ha! So here I am. The question is, how long can I go on obeying orders and not questioning some of the things we're called on to do? Last night, for instance, we were having a bit of a do in the guardroom downstairs. It was the usual genteel affair. 30 cases of something with a kick stronger than anything Hannibal took over the Alps. A couple of dozen of half-naked and endlessly inventive women. People screaming, insulting one another, singing, vomiting, fighting. Get the picture, right? Homo sapiens in a playful mood. Well, at the same time, it turns out, there's a dozen or so Jews having a quiet supper together down in the city. Afterwards, they go for a walk in one of the gardens. Gethsemane, I think. One of them prayed, the others went to sleep. Well, pretty provocative stuff, eh? I'll leave you to guess which party was broken up by the authorities with a considerable amount of violence and at least one arrest. Not, as it happens, our authorities this time. It was the temple guard. I didn't see any of this, of course, but when I heard about it, I nipped down to see if I could find out what was going on. Not in uniform, of course. Someone had lit a bonfire in one of the courtyards, and one or two people were grilling fish, sitting around, drinking. But one bloke was looking very nervous indeed, you know, not talking to anybody, not joining in. So, out comes a barmaid, and she says she'd seen him, this bloke, with the one they'd arrested. Well, he went wild, effing and blinding, and I never set eyes on him in my life. I don't know who you're talking about. All lies, you could tell. Well, I could tell. But why bother? You see, that's what interested me. Why didn't he want anyone to know? Well, anyway, then the cockerels started striking up the dawn raucous, and I thought I'd better get back. But now I discover that the one who'd been helping the temple guard with their inquiries has been brought in here to see Pilate for some reason. He's been here for over an hour now. Well, I suppose I could find out what's going on. But I mean, why should I bother? You know, I mean, why? Why should I bother? Oh, damn it, I'm going to bother. The gods save us from provincial governors with ambition and a point to prove. This is officialdom gone wild. Right, the story so far. The prisoner is from up north, in Galilee somewhere, one Yeshua bar Yusuf. Jesus is the simpler form, that's what most people call him. But according to some, including that little gathering that joined him for supper last night, he's the Christ, the Messiah. And I found out what that means too. It means he has been sent by God, the Jewish God, to bring people hope and safety and freedom. And in some sort of way, he is God. Yeah, I think I've got it right. Anyway, but don't take my word for it. I'm a philosopher, not a theologian. Mind you, to others who you think ought to know better, Caiaphas the high priest for a start, and most of the other established religious bigwigs, he is simply a pain in the proverbial, and they want rid of him. You know, I thought this would have been just some sort of show trial. You know, being a naughty boy, keep your voice down, say sorry, and don't do it again. I mean, that's what I'd have done if I'd been Pilate. But apparently, it's a bit more complicated than that. This is political, with a capital P. I can't tell you exactly what went on in there, you know, not a lot of Romans around except the boss. But this Jesus is obviously considered a real threat. They say he's called himself King of the Jews. Well, perhaps he has. But if he hasn't, that's very clever, because it means he's a rebel against Caesar. So we have to kill him. I tell you, it would be laughable, really. Except that it's almost certainly going to happen. I mean, no one seems able to stop it. Pilate's been forced into a corner by this rebellion thing. Jesus himself seems resigned to it. He didn't even try to defend himself. I saw him on my way down here. They were taking him out to flog him. I promise you, either something very nasty is going on, some kind of conspiracy, or else there's been a huge mistake and he's the wrong man in the wrong place. Seen this? I am in charge of the guard this afternoon, which means, of course, I'm in charge of the crucifixion. If it comes to that. Well, it will come to that for two poor blighters, a couple of bandits, muggers. I mean, you know, they knew what they'd be in for if they got caught, but even so. Is it Jesus, though? It doesn't make sense. Being in charge means I won't actually have to do the crucifixion. No, that'll be a job for some poor private with big biceps and a head for heights. I'll just have to arrange it all and go back afterwards to make sure it's all been done as per. But the procession, that's the nasty bit. We have to go right through the city and out to the corporation rubbish dump, Golgotha. It's a pretty name, isn't it? The nastiest bit is, well, I tell you have to understand a bit about crowd psychology here, you see. Nobody likes deaths. Well, they're upsetting things, aren't they? And nobody likes the Romans very much either. So we have to be careful. Handful of soldiers taking a criminal through the city, well, you could get mobbed, killed. Now, the trick is to get all your soldiers laughing and jeering and spitting at the prisoners. See, the crowd will join in, you see, if they see someone being mocked or made a fool of. It takes a lot of guts to go against what everyone else is doing. If they ever did attack us, we'd lose all credibility. We'd probably control them in the end, but there's always a next time. When you're a soldier, you can't afford to be sympathetic. It's the kiss of death. And if he dies, Jesus, well, that means he is innocent, doesn't it? I mean, you know, that's logical. I mean, if he really is the King of the Jews and the Messiah and the Son of God, he's not going to just sit up there and wait for us to bang the nails through, is he? Eh? Well, is he? Well, I've made up my mind. Too late again, but then that's the story of my life. I am with Octavius. Surprised? Yeah, go on, say it. I am. So I don't see why you shouldn't be. I tell you, if he wasn't the Son of God, then he was the next thing to it. I know it's hardly helpful to the formulation of a workable penal code, but you can always tell when you've crucified a criminal and when you've not. Reasons? Yeah, well, some reasons. Some just gut feelings. But never despise gut feelings. They're what we live by, after all. Fallen in love? Why? You know, but you can't say. And you can't prove it either. Like oysters, do you? But not beans. Why? There's no logic about it. When you come down to it, there's very little that can be proved. And the more things mean, the less they are susceptible to proof. Sorry. Would-be philosopher's word. That's funny, isn't it? I mean, all the procedures we go through, all the arguments, all the clever reasoning, they don't make nearly so much difference as simple gut knowing and wanting. You know, you should do one thing, but you do another. You know, you shouldn't do something, but you do it anyway. because. And that's why I'm with Octavius on this one. There are reasons, of course, but they can all be explained away if that's what you're wanting to do. All right. 1. He forgave me for what I did. Yeah, big deal, you say. But you tell me, what sort of man, hanging there in pain and shame and faced with extinction, is going to bother to think about somebody else? I mean, it's not human nature. Did he know I was feeling guilty? I felt as if he did. He had a word for those 2 bandits on either side of him as well, despite the fact that one was screaming obscenities at him. I couldn't hear what he said to the other one, but everything went off very calmly, and it doesn't usually. 2, I couldn't take my eyes off him. I couldn't talk to him, but I wanted to. It was a strange feeling, and I'm not going to say any more because it sounds, well, I don't know, but I don't want people sniggering, right? 3, the darkness. Yeah, all right, coincidence, accident, yes, okay, I can't argue with that. But it didn't feel like an accident, and it didn't feel like any darkness I've ever seen before. It was thick and yellowish, like a sandstorm or a volcano, but it wasn't. The sun was there all the time, but it seemed to be sucking in light rather than shedding it. People shut up too. It was eerie. And then there was that crash from the temple. Was that just coincidence too? Just at the moment he died? One of the priests said some huge stone had fallen and ripped down a hanging, and all the divine mysteries were suddenly laid out in front of everyone who wanted to see them. I mean, symbolic or what? And then there was that man from Arimathea wanting to take charge of the body. Well, what's all that about, eh? Well, I haven't got the authority, so I sent him to Pilate. I hope he lets him take it. Better than, being flung into some lime pit. And there are other things. All the stories, dozens of stories. Why haven't I heard them before? Octavius is going to tell me them. He's been posted all over Palestine, met a lot of people. Hey, and that's another thing too, you see. I trust Octavius. He may be wrong, I couldn't say. But he's not deliberately lying, I can tell you that. Perhaps we'll go and do the final inspection together. Tidy up, make a report. Forget it. Well, whatever the truth is, one thing's certain. It's all over now. Once upon a time, there was a man who may or may not have been the Son of God, and there were 2 centurions. He died, they were forgotten, the end. Well, made a difference for a short time.